Hey guys, so here's the notes about evaluating composition of functions. So previously you learned about how to do composition of functions. Remember, that's taking one function and plugging it into another. Now we're going to try to evaluate with a number. But let's kind of go over, how do we just evaluate a function? Well, this is something you guys learned in Algebra 1. So let's look at example A here. We're going to find the value of f of 2. Now notice it says let f of x equals x squared and let g of x equals x plus 1. Now f of 2, what that means is that the f represents which function we're going to use, and the 2 means we're going to take this number and plug it into x. Remember, if they give you an x in a function, just plug it in. That's how you get your answer. So I'm going to take the 2 and plug it into our f function here. So I have 2 squared, and then I evaluate that, so I get 4. Okay, go ahead and pause the video to try B. So you're going to find the value of g of 5. Okay, let's see what you got. So notice here that we are using the g function. So we're using a different function here. So our g function is x plus 1. How we know that? There's a g in front of the 5. Okay, that tells you which function to use. So I'm going to now take my 5 and plug it for where I see x. So I have 5 plus 1, and then that just gives me 6. So 6 would be my answer. Now let's talk about, well, how do we do that when we have a composition of function? Well, first, we're going to evaluate the inside function first. So the inside function here is g of 3. So we're going to take our 3 and plug it into the g function. So forever we see x. So I have 3 plus 1, which gives me 4. Now, that's not my final answer because notice I have f on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number 4 and I'm going to plug it into the outside function. In this case, our outside function is f because it's outside of the parentheses. So our f function here is x squared. So I'm going to plug 4 into our x here. So 4 squared is 16. So my final answer here, meaning f of g of 3, is just going to be 16. There's my answer. Okay, let's look at the next example. Now, you're going to see a different notation. Now, we've talked about what this notation is. Notice G, and then this circle means of F. Now, you'll see that instead of having a variable X inside the next set of parentheses, we have this -1. Really, this represents is the same thing as we saw in part C. So this is really saying G of F of -1. So notice that our inside function is f. So we're going to evaluate that first because that is our inside function. So we always evaluate the inside function first. And remember, I got this -1 because that was the number they gave to us. So I have f of -1. So remember my f function, which they told us is x squared. So I'm going to plug my -1 into x. Now, make sure you use parentheses because if you do not, you'll get the wrong answer. So we do -1 squared. That gives us a +1. Now, we're going to take our +1 and plug it into the outside function. The outside function is going to be g. It's outside because it's outside of the parentheses. Now, the reason I knew that g was going to be on the outside and f was going to be inside is this order. Whatever is first, remember, that's going to be our outside function, and whatever is the second letter, that's our inside function. So this is saying g of f. So now, g of 1, I'm going to plug 1 into my x plus 1. And so when I do that, I get 1 plus 1, which gives me 2. So my answer here, when I have this g of f of -1 is 2. So that's my answer there. Okay, so now let's go ahead. I'm going to have you guys try some on your own. So go ahead and do the try this. So I'm going to have you guys pause the video, and I actually want you guys to do A and B for the try this problems. Okay, let's see how you did. So it says g of x is x squared plus 4, h of x is 2x minus 7. So A says we have g of h of 3. So what this means is since g is first, that's my outside function. Since h is second, that's my inside function, and we're evaluating with the number 3. So I do h of 3 first. So my h function here is 2x minus 7. Remember, 3 is the x value, so I'm going to plug that into there. So I have 2 times 3 minus 7. And so when I plug that, I have 6 minus 7, so that gives me negative 1. Now, I'm going to take this negative 1 and plug it into my outside function, which is g. So my g function here is x squared plus 4. So I'm going to plug the negative 1 into my x. Don't forget to use parentheses around it, otherwise you'll get the incorrect answer. So negative 1 squared gives us positive 1 plus 4. That gives us 5. So our answer here is 5. Now let's try the next one. So here is already written as the h of g of 2. So we evaluate the inside function first. So I do g of 2. Remember, my g function is x squared plus 4. So I'm going to take my 2 and plug it into x. So when I do that, I have 2 squared. Don't forget your parentheses. And so when I do 2 squared, that gives me 4 plus 4 gives me 8. Now I'm going to take the 8 and plug it into the outside function. So h is our outside function. And so my h is 2x minus 7. So I'm going to plug the 8 in for x. So that gives me 2 times 8 minus 7. When I do that, I have 16 minus 7, which gives me 9. Okay, and that's my final answer there. Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know. See you guys later.